reminds me, especially with, are we recording?
We just started, so if you want to do a little
Okay.
introduction, say your name, anything you want to say special about yourself.
I don't give out my name. Like,
Hey,
I
man.
might have some charges floating around out there somewhere.
A signature name,
Yeah.
rap name.
No, I don't have a rap name. I'm too old for that.
Yeah, I'm just looking for a
I
name.
know. No, Kiyoki.
Kiyoki?
Yeah, Kiyoki.
Yeah.
Nobody ever figured out how to spell it, but Kiyoki.
That's pretty cool. Where's that from? Sounds
It
like
is,
it sounds Asian.
The pronunciation actually is.
Mm-hmm.
It's Polynesian or Japanese name. In Hawaii, it means George. But
George.
but the spelling of it's Nigerian. I'm not gonna spell it
That's so strange.
for all intents and purposes. Yeah,
It's like all across the continents.
yeah. The spelling is actually
Japan
Nigerian.
to Hawaii to Nigeria.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
and I've done some research on the name. The name actually, the CHI. You've heard of the inner chi. Balancing out. That's where that comes from. It
Really?
means God.
That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. And that's all I'm giving. I'll tell you later.
That's so cool. You have like
Exactly.
a backstory for your chosen
Oh
name.
yeah,
That's
my
cool.
mom, she was like a baby Black Panther back in the day. She was very interesting woman, to say the least. She was only about 5 feet tall, but she was very involved in equality for women, and specifically for people of color. She
Okay.
came up. She was born in 1949, so she came up in the weed era. The hippies and everybody
Hippies
smoked
and all
weed.
that, yeah.
They were all like
yeah,
that.
that's what the whole peace symbol
She,
got really.
she would never admit that she smoked weed, but she ain't gonna fool me. 'Cause
Yeah,
her lips
you're
were a
not
little
slick,
too
moms.
dark.
I know.
Her lips were a little too dark.
Nah.
Like that didn't come from smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, that's funny. But I mean, we're talking about chi, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like the backstory of your name. I know you kind of have a spiritual side. Every time we talk, you kind of get into a spiritual aspect of things. What's your outlook on spirituality and like inner chi and energy rather than just a body and a soul?
It's funny you said inner chi and energy.
Different things, right?
One and the same.
Right. Okay.
Listen to what
okay.
you said. Inner
They
chi,
sound okay. I see what you're saying.
energy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
So
You think the word energy derives from energy?
well, the funny thing about the English language, the older I've gotten and the more I've studied it,
Mm-hmm.
I've learned that all of these words mean something.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at Harry Potter movies and the sorcery and the spells that are cast upon people,
Like the little gibberish
Yeah.
they say before they do their little
and they
magic.
teach us how to spell words in school. Like literally, our language is casting spells. Every language is casting a spell.
That's an interesting way to look at
You
it.
think of when people are dealing with religion, you think of the holy gospel or
Interesting.
ghost spell. So, to answer your question, I think a lot of people collectively, there's only a select few probably in the world that are completely in tune with what their inner chi or their energy actually is. Because you have to,
Would you
I thi-
consider yourself to be one of those?
yeah, and I'm still growing. I don't quite understand everything yet, but I have a pretty good understanding that I can't find it. And it's no disrespect to anybody that deals with religion by
Yeah,
any
that's
means.
fine,
If
yeah.
that's what works for you, I
Right.
salute you. I just don't like to play games with, if you have any kind of belief or faith, you need to be able to stand on that. Like there's no gray area for me.
Right.
You're either gonna walk a righteous path or an unrighteous path.
Right.
You got to choose.
Don't
but,
pretend.
Yeah, don't
basically, yeah.
pretend. Like there's the thing I don't like about religion, with the exception of some religions, and I'm not taking shots at anybody, but specifically with Christianity, it's like Monopoly. You got a do-over. It's like playing golf with some buddies. A mulligan. You got a do-over. Like you mess up, you can pray about it, and life doesn't work that way for me.
Right.
I understood.
Are you talking about the repenting or the fact of
Just
Jesus
doing
being the savior and us being sinless? 'Cause of
no.
the sacrifice.
What I mean is, I'll start here. So we think that we have another day to get things right, but time was created by man. It's all one day. The sun never rises and sets. There's not actually 24 hours in a day.
We just put,
Man came up and
yeah,
had to put something in perspective
to make it
to
easier
be
to
able to control
understand.
what
Yeah,
individuals are doing
I see what
throughout
you're
the day.
saying. Yeah,
Because that time is one thing you can never get back, or
right.
life. Those are the
Never.
two most valuable things,
Yeah.
and everything else is just a byproduct
Right.
of that. But when I started to understand that there's only one day, that means no matter how many days I live, based on time,
Right.
it's only one day, so I only got one chance to get it
Kind of
right.
like YOLO. You only live once,
And you only
basically,
live
right?
once.
You only live
Take
that
that
one
literally.
day, right?
Take it serious.
Right.
You don't have any opportunities to mess up and then ask for forgiveness or ask somebody to forgive you and then have a clean slate.
Get it right on the first
Get it
time.
right the first time.
Right.
Because we only have one day. We just take naps in between. That's how I live my life. And when I started understanding that, I started understanding that if you ask for forgiveness, then what is it that how can man judge you or hold you accountable if you have another source to ask for forgiveness? Like no man, if you commit a crime and you go before a judge, like, well, I repented on that. I prayed
Right.
about
It's
it.
not going to work in the court of law.
You
Yeah.
should be able to walk.
Yeah.
Like, you're serious. You really did pray about this. Yeah. I did.
That's just hearsay.
Yeah.
You don't know if they
And then they
actually.
let you walk out, but it doesn't work that way.
Right. Yeah.
So
Real
when
life
I
doesn't work like
started,
that.
and I'm talking about at a young age, when I started understanding that there's repercussions by the hands of man,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, okay, well, how is it that we can sit up and talk about something greater than that? So I started looking within. I'm like, okay, I realized I'm accountable for my own decisions. I'm accountable, like whatever, if it's a positive or negative outcome, it's all because of how I went about doing it. But it all starts with
Right.
me.
It's a cause and an effect.
Yes. So when I started understanding that, then I started to look at the inner G. And this is where science comes in. We had a brief conversation when you came in about linear algebra and how then we
Yeah.
went
The
into the
multiple layers.
different
Yeah.
dimensions and all that
Yeah.
kind of
Exactly.
stuff. Pretty quick for us to be sober. That was like a deep conversation.
Yeah. We got there like 5
Yeah.
minutes.
So but I started to understand the inner G, and that led me on this path of understanding the biology of our bodies and what makes our heart pump, what makes our brain go off,
Mm-hmm.
and how do those two work together. And it's based on energy. And this is
Right.
what people refer to as your soul.
Right.
And then I started understanding energy. This is the one thing that has no beginning and no ending. And I look at this energy as the source of all things in life and all things in creation.
Yeah.
And if you want to refer to a God, I simply look at it as it's energy. Energy, meaning this is all within every last one of us.
There's a word for that, I believe. I don't remember right now, but it's kind of the concept of everyone, although separate, being one united.
Yes.
We're all one being.
Yeah. It's very interesting because you and I are both men.
Mm-hmm.
We're different. We're unique in our own
Right.
special way, but
Right.
we're still in the same category. And that's the beauty of life to
Still
me.
humans.
We're still human.
Yeah.
We're one and the same, but we're yet separate individuals. But what makes us one and the same is the fact that we both breathe, we both love, we both
Mhm.
hate, we both are happy. Man, we share all the
We
same
experience
things.
most of the same.
Most of the same
feelings,
things.
yeah,
It's
right.
just occurrences in life.
Right.
Situations in life may differ,
Right.
but you feel for your loved ones the same way I feel for
Right.
mine.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So we share a care. That's the level playing field that all of us share, that so many of us overlook every day.
I do have a question about your that one day thing you were saying, and
Yeah.
like how to avoid mistakes. Do you not believe that it's in human nature to make natural mistakes and to learn from them? So wouldn't it be a good thing to make mistakes even though you only have one day left?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, my friend.
See, I personally feel like our purpose in life is to make mistakes. I feel like
Yeah.
mistakes is part of our existence and it's the reason why we're here. It's not entirely the reason.
Yeah, to a
But-
degree. I understand that because I'll be honest with you. We would not we would not be as advanced as we are
Without
without
mistakes.
mistakes.
Correct. Yeah.
So I get that. Where I draw boundaries is this: it's okay to make mistakes.
Right.
Everybody's going to make them, it's
Mhm.
inevitable. However, when it comes down to the well being of an individual, this is what it breaks down to for me. Whether you're in a relationship or you have a loved one, a family member,
Mhm.
or a close friend, you don't set out to make mistakes in ways to harm people. You can
Correct.
make mistakes through trial and error, putting together Legos or trying to, fix a Rubik's
Mhm.
Cube. And then all of a sudden, oh, Microsoft. But when it comes down, I messed up a lot with this Rubik's Cube, but in the process, I figured out how to create Microsoft. So there's a lot of great things that can come out of making
Mhm.
mistakes. Trial and error is very important. That's how we became the highest form on this planet. It was through trial and error. So
Mhm.
I do agree with that, but it takes a lot of energy to go out of your way to hurt someone. That's my thing. So we can separate what it would take for us to be able to advance as a society or as humanity. We can separate that. Like, here's the thing. This is the biggest thing since we're talking about it. So we have a system, a government,
Mhm.
right? Or whatever you want to call it. People call it the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. Sesame Street. We have these things in place, and then yet we're the individuals at the bottom of the pyramid. Okay,
Yeah.
they don't care. They can make all the mistakes they want, and it impacts us every single day, and
Yeah.
they
It's not
don't care.
impacting them. Right.
It's not impacting them, and that's what I mean. And they don't care about the mistakes impacting us as long as it continues to advance them. That's where I have a problem.
Do you believe in like a certain level of justice that will end up reaching them? Kind of like karma, but not entirely karma, like a deity that'll basically God
Well,
that'll
the interesting thing is first what we have to do, because where what is that statement that's on the dollar bill? Out of many there is one, or
Mhm.
something like that. I forgot what is how you, it's actually stated in
Yeah.
Latin.
I know what you're talking about though,
But
yeah.
we have to we are the many.
Mm.
We are the many, and in comparison to them, they are only one
Right.
individual
Basically, yeah.
in comparison. So what we have to do in order for that, this cosmic karma, or just flat out you reap what you sow, it requires a body of people. I was just talking about this at work before I left today. Um, how it's unfair the way that we have to live, but we as a society have helped build this system by not doing anything at all.
Mhm.
And as a result, you have a lot of great people that are alive, that are struggling. You have families that are going through a lot of stuff. They just cannot seem to get themselves where they want to be as a result
The
of this
many
system.
allowed the few to take control.
Yes, the many allowed
And
the
now
few.
the
So
few
in order
their
for it,
children are now suffering for that.
exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
So basically, I just mentioned a pyramid scheme. But what we don't realize, so many of us don't realize, is that the actual pyramids are built from underground, and that's how they came up.
Mm.
So when you invert the pyramid scheme, that puts all of us up top,
Mm.
and they're at the bottom now. But we literally have to flip everything around mentally and then start putting it in action. And that's when it'll happen. But until then, and until we continue, we constantly allow ourselves to be divided.
Right, that's the problem.
Yeah, we're never going
We're
to be
not
able.
one piece.
Yeah. We're
Right.
literally, especially in this country, we act like, there's Dallas Cowboy fans, on one side, and then there's like Denver Bronco fans or whatever your favorite
Right.
team is.
That'll
But
be enough to split them apart
yeah,
and never agree on anything
yeah.
ever.
It's like
It's
it's like
crazy.
everybody's rooting for a football team. I'm like, what in the world?
It's so much easier to separate people than to bring them together.
Yes. And
Right.
I'm sitting back watching, it's funny when you really unplug, when you completely detach yourself from all the chaos, from the day-to-day chaos, and then you're actually sitting back watching it. It's a weird feeling. It's all, at times you'll experience a euphoric feeling
Mm-hmm.
when you realize I am no longer in that. I've unplugged myself, but you can watch it
Kind of like
without
the third
allowing
eye,
it.
having an
Yes,
open mind.
exactly. And
Right.
now you're not allowing all this stuff to settle on your mind. you're able to see all of the craziness going on.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole Dallas Cowboy thing, I'm not partial towards one candidate or the other, but people still have not realized you are being distracted.
Mm.
With this all of this stuff about Trump, it is a distraction.
True, I agree.
You do not understand. This the smoke and
They're
mirrors like the
trying to
Wizard
keep
of
us
Oz.
divided.
Yes.
That's their main goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And until we collectively decide to come together,
Together.
set our differences aside,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what they may be. I don't care if you're a Proud Boy or if you're BLM or whatever you claim to be.
Anything, right?
When we set our, because we're divided.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about 9/11 because the anniversary just passed.
Right.
And I remember people used to come at me kind of crazy because I had a beard.
Yeah,
Right?
that's crazy.
And that was nothing in comparison to people that are Muslim
Right.
that were living in this country during that time. And now what? All of this information's coming out. They're showing this footage now. I'm seeing that was leaked that a Scud missile actually hit the Pentagon.
The conspiracies are becoming facts now.
All of it was a lie.
Yeah.
So we allowed ourselves to make a whole nation of people an enemy when they only put one person's face, and it wasn't even warranted in my opinion. But they put Bin Laden's face up there, and everybody that looked like him. You're the sworn enemy of the country, and now here we are, 20 some odd years later. Now what? It was all for nothing.
And now everybody knows. It's like not even a secret. You can go up to anybody. 90% chance they're gonna agree that it was a hoax.
And this is the point. This goes right back to our point. So the top of the pyramid caused some damage, and look at all the people it impacted as a result.
20 years later,
yeah. And now it's like nobody wants to apologize. Oh,
no one's apologizing.
So it wasn't real.
Right.
The people will admit all day long, oh yeah, it didn't go the way that they said it did. It was a lie. It was a lie. But
there's no repercussion.
But nobody has apologized to the nation of Muslims yet. Right.
How many lives were lost?
Yeah.
For that misconception.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So when we continue on allowing ourselves, and the funniest thing, I got these neighbors. I ain't gonna say that about them bad because they might come across this. You don't know if you live on the right or the left of me. But these neighbors I have, you can almost tell the entitlement that they have.
Mm.
And I'm like,
kind of like an ego, cockiness.
Yeah. There's a level of entitlement. And I'm not saying whether they're white or black because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just a level of entitlement.
Right.
And every day when I see them, every time I see them, I'm like, these two individuals go to work just like I do every single day.
They do most of the things you do.
Exactly.
They just think differently, have a different opinion.
How are we different?
Exactly. It's so crazy.
You pay taxes just like me.
Yeah.
You're probably paying a little bit more than me because you got this entitlement cone hat sitting up on your head, and you're like, ooh, I make more than you. You're not as good as me. And I'm looking at them like, you literally pay taxes just like I do, if not more so. And what I was talking about at work today, because a dude asked me, he was like, so you don't think we should pay taxes? I was like, no, I don't have a problem with paying taxes as long as things were allocated properly. It makes no sense why elderly people don't have money to be able to live comfortably when they retire.
Right.
If my money was going towards that, I don't care how much you take out of my check.
I feel like a lot of taxes goes in the wrong places.
It does. Like the Ukraine. Like lawmakers' pockets.
I also feel like taxes is taken out of too many parts of life.
Oh yeah,
like
you pay taxes literally on everything. You had to pay taxes on these microphones we're talking on, man.
Exactly.
And if you sell them and you sell them for enough money, at the end of the year, if you collected too much money on this, you got to pay taxes on that money too.
I don't get the one where I work my hourly wage and they take a chunk out of that. I don't get why they take out. I get when I spend on something, you take a chunk out of that, you need this money. And there's over 1 billion people in America? I don't know the exact number, probably
roughly 350 million people.
So you have that many people.
Yeah.
With taxes just on purchasing products should be more than enough for the government to be satisfied.
Exactly.
Why are you taking money out of people's hard work, like hours of work?
So this is the thing that I said I wish politicians would agree to. If me and you went to a store to buy anything, and we happen to come across Bezos, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. They're all in the same
That's a
store,
crazy grocery store.
right? Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, what is this? What's the name of that? Is this Trader Joe's?
Trader Joe's.
So we go in there and we see them in there. We're all in the same line. Me and you go up there, buy it. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's going to be X amount of dollars, and we're paying taxes on what we're getting. Do you think that they're going to get up in line behind us and they're going to say, oh, Mr. Bezos, you don't have to worry about it. You're good because you're a billionaire. Oh, no, you either, Mr. Gates. Just give us this. You don't owe any tax. They're going to pay. My point is they're going to pay taxes
Right.
just like
we do, right.
So why is it that our tax brackets are different? It's not my. So I told this millionaire this one time. He was like, you pull that whole thing, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and you can make it the same way I did and all this kind of stuff. Because we were having a conversation.
He's saying you need to
about
apply
taxes.
yourself, basically, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And because he's in a different tax bracket, we were having the same conversation. So I was like, nobody told you to be rich.
Right.
Like, don't get mad at me because I want you to pay the same amount of tax. You should have never been rich. And that's exactly how I left that situation. And, I had to expound on that a little bit and explain it to him where I was coming from. I was like, you don't have to pay as much because you have more loopholes to be able to find. You got the money to pay people to be able to allocate money and hide it and shell company, all of whatever.
Yeah, the more money you have, the easier it is to get
nobody
around
told
it.
you to be rich. Just like it's not your problem that I'm in a certain tax bracket. It's not my problem that you're in that tax bracket either. Either way, 10% is 10% across the board.
Right, that's how it should be.
Bottom line, the 10% of your $1 billion you're making, sure, it's going to be a whole lot more than my 10% of my little.
But we're both being hurt by that amount.
Exactly.
Same way.
We're still being hurt the same way. That 10% out of your money that you earn every year, it impacts you the same way it impacts me.
Right, exactly.
And they don't, but for whatever reason.
They just want more money.
Yeah, but the people, we keep allowing this. Like, we're literally okay collectively with them paying like 2% in taxes every year.
Which is crazy because majority of people
20%.
are under that bracket.
Majority of the people, yep.
Yeah, that's crazy that we're not banding together even on that.
So the interesting thing, the analogy of the Matrix, where you see all the bodies in the incubators and everything plugged up, when that's exactly what we are. As we're sitting here right now.
We're being used, basically.
We're being used. You are being groomed. Not saying that college education, you don't need to get it.
No, I see what
But
you're
you are
saying.
literally being groomed to be a battery.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is. I've been a battery now for the best part of more than 20 years of my life.
Even through the college system, I feel that way. Like even the college system, the classes I'm taking do not add value to the knowledge I'm trying or the job I'm trying to get to.
The math class that we were talking about that you're taking, the way you and I took linear algebra and broke it down in something relative to life, that math class wouldn't teach you that.
No, it wouldn't. It would not.
And that's the thing. If you can't get anything, like, it's important to understand history because these mistakes were made and we have an opportunity to learn from it.
Right.
But we're not learning from
We're not.
mistakes.
History repeats itself. That should not be a saying.
So my thing is, if you're studying something, if it cannot be related to life, what's the purpose in talking about it?
I agree.
Everything needs to be relative to life. If you're going to be that's the reason why they say drive towards your passion. Because this is your life. So whatever you feel happiest doing, this is what you'll thrive in.
I agree.
No class is going to be able to prepare you for it.
It's not.
You need to be able to make everything relative to life in order to be able to understand how to apply it.
Right. They kind of try to force information into your head as if you're a robot with a storage.
Yeah.
And you're just going to output that information once you get into your area. But it's not how life works with so many unexpected things and what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not sure, but unexpected things. Life is not predictable. That's what I was looking for. Unpredictable. Life is very unpredictable. And
you
robots,
think so?
Yeah, I do think life is very unpredictable.
How so?
I mean, just like how we planned the podcast last week. Something unpredictable came up.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's kind of back to the point of, humans are kind of mistake prone. It's normal. but I don't like how
My wife wants to see this. Yeah, she
I
said, "Why don't you record it?"
I just don't like how the curriculum or even work is programming us as if we're perfect machines that don't make mistakes on a not even regular basis, but on occasion. Humans make mistakes is normal, but when you go to these jobs and you go through even college, mistakes are not, they're punished. You're getting very punished for making mistakes instead of it being an accepted thing of reality that we all make mistakes.
Yeah. You know what? I've always wondered that on jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I started out, I gradually worked my way up in the food chain and companies, but I hit a ceiling um, for whatever reason. Um, but I've always wondered why, like, I was in a position where I would have to reprimand or write up disciplinary
Right.
action for people when in a lot of those cases it was just a simple mistake.
It's just a simple mistake. I
Yeah.
understand if it's a reoccurring,
Yeah. Yeah.
tendency and they're doing it on purpose to get an attention or for their own personal reason. That's understandable, but when someone makes a natural mistake, I don't like how the world is just so they need to pay for it.
Yeah.
They need a
I don't agree.
repercussion.
Well,
Mm,
it's funny you say that, right? Because what you just made me think about was all the wars that we're
mm.
involved in. I'll talk about Nagasaki, Hiroshima real quick. We're still paying for that.
We should be. We
What I
should
mean
be.
is we are literally paying for the damage that was done.
That's crazy.
Same thing over every time we go to war. The United States isn't going to war just to be Superman, like coming in with the cape with one arm and the cape flying and they're flying around. They're not doing it for that reason. They're going to plant a flag. And in order to build these countries back up, it takes our money to do it. They're not utilizing and I'll give you an example of what I mean.
Do you think it's like for power or for
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah, 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 yeah.
ego?
The United States has never gotten involved in anything unless there was something to
So it's
gain.
like, yeah, okay, right. I agree.
I'll give you two
Right.
examples. Like now I can get really deep on this
They
conversation
sugarcoat
with
it and make it look
Nagasaki.
like they're a hero, but
Yeah, but
yeah,
really they're not.
yeah.
They literally they killed a third of Japan's
Mm,
population
dang.
in World War II. They bombed. I mean, we most people only think it was Nagasaki, Hiroshima with the atomic bombs.
Yeah, there's
They
more than that. Yeah,
firebombed the entire country
it's insane.
and then dropped that. Now it's interesting as to why. And I did some research, my friend. I've been waiting on this. We might have to talk about this later. But even in 9/11, the war in Kuwait, when George Bush Sr., when we went over to Kuwait then, it was all for the sole intention. It was all related to oil. United States wanted to gain control of the oil.
Right.
They needed to have a reason to be able to go back over there. So you have 9/11,
Right.
and it was all over oil. Um, but all the money that I'll tell you the two ways they do it. They jack up our taxes and they increase the gas prices. That's how we pay for wars.
Mm,
And they're literally taking that money. They're funding the war. And we're one of the biggest oil consumers on the planet, mind you. So they're getting money hand over fist. Hammers cost $500, and then they're pocketing some, and then they're building the country back up just so they can put a McDonald's over there later. And that's essentially what happens.
yeah.
That's essentially what happens. And they go in and colonize. And I'll give you a great example. During World War II, Mr. Hitler,
Right.
old Adolf, give you the backstory. He was against centralized banking.
Describe that.
Centralized banking, meaning one big major bank.
Okay. Is that what
Now,
we have in America?
they don't say it.
They don't say it.
Yeah,
But
they don't say it.
another sugar coating,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they don't say it. When they technically the Federal Reserve would have been the United States
Right,
centralized bank.
Yeah.
And for an example, and some people when you post this, he's not right. Prove it. Now, so what wound up happening? Essentially, Adolf comes in after World War One. They had gone in and they went to war with Russia and Germany, all that kind of stuff, and Germany got their butt kicked in. So Adolf comes in, and he's been paying attention over the years. Apparently, the people that lived over in Europe that controlled the banks, they wound up working the banks as default. Now, this is not anti-Semitic by any means. If
Mm-hmm.
anything, it's going to clear up a lot of crazy stuff that people think.
Right.
Um, the reason why Jewish people got control of the banks is because nobody else wanted to work those jobs. They were considered janitorial jobs. So
Mm.
over the
It's
years,
crazy.
nothing but Jews were able to, because it was very racist. Treated Jewish people bad over in
Yeah.
that country, over in Poland and Prussia and all that kind of stuff. They were treated poorly. So they got the janitor jobs at the bank. Well, over the years, they're getting all this
All
money.
this money, yeah, it's growing.
They're getting their family members to come in and they start building themselves up.
Mm.
This was all by default. Adolf Hitler realized this. He was like, okay, if we have a centralized bank, the banks are what fund the wars. And Germany just lost. Now here we are 30 years later, he's trying to make a comeback. I got to kill off the bank because the bank's going to fund these other countries to come and to destroy me again.
Right.
So let me eliminate the people, all of them. Get rid of every last one of them, and that way we don't have to worry about that. So this is why he went and did what he did.
So
there.
you think his intention was more against the centralized bank than the belief of the Jewish people?
Yes, absolutely. I mean,
Because it didn't make sense.
I
'Cause
did
his mother was
research
Jewish,
on
right.
exactly.
I was like, what does he have?
He wanted to be the superpower. It had absolutely nothing to do with him being anti-Semitic. Nobody even knew what that meant back then. This was all about power and control, and as a result, this is what happened. Now, the United States sitting over here, I think I can't remember the name of the president, but anyway, vowed we're not getting involved in any other affairs. Now, this is going to wind up making me open up this can of worms about Nagasaki, Hiroshima. So apparently, in the early 1900s, I'm going to throw out some names. You had a young Martin Luther King, you had a Marcus Garvey, you had a W.E.B. Du Bois, and you had Elijah Muhammad with the Nation of Islam, the American Muslims, the Black American Muslims. They were all in communication with Japan right after World War I because Japan had defeated Germany back then.
Right.
So Japan was feeling itself, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody was talking about the disparities of what was going on in this country at this time. Japan was like, oh, no, 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 no. We aren't with oppression. No. Tell you what, if you start the movement within, we'll come in and support you.
Right.
Right? 1941, the civil rights movement sparked off.
In Japan?
No.
In America.
In America. 1941. The United States got wind of this. Now, this is the crazy excuse. If you do some research, people will probably Google this to fact check me. Prove it. So they would say that Japan got angry because the United States was threatening to cut them off from their oil supply. But Japan is in the east, right next door to the kingpin of the oil. Right up there in Saudi Arabia, right? So that never made any sense to me. The United States was looking for a reason to be able to get into World War II. But what did they do first? They attacked Japan right after they claimed Japan. It's another 9/11. After they claimed Japan attacked
It
Pearl
is another
Harbor,
9/11.
they
That's
pulled
crazy.
all the warships off of the shore of Hawaii, sent them out to sea. And next thing you know, these planes are coming in bombing everything, and they were not prepared. Same thing as 9/11.
Right.
All right. So then that gives them reason. The people are mad. So they're not talking about going over into Europe. They go over to Japan and they start firebombing them. Now, keep in mind, 1941, it was discussed. If y'all start the movement from within, we'll come and back you up. United States needed to have a good reason to be able to go over there and start bombing them because they were threatening what they had going on over here in the United States. So to teach them a lesson, not to come over messing with our affairs, we like the segregation. We like the Jim Crow laws. We like all of this stuff.
Yeah.
We don't want these people having any kind of position of authority, so we're going to bomb you.
It's more separation.
Yes.
Back to the separation.
Start firebombing them, and eventually in 1945, they dropped the atomic bombs to send a message to the rest of the world. Don't you even think about coming over here talking about liberating some people of color. You out your mind?
Yeah,
So
that's crazy. So it
then
was
they
another
go,
distraction.
yes,
Right.
now they go over into Europe and they join the war. Now, check this out. The United Nations was started up in 1945. United States heading the United Nations up.
Mm.
Now, mind you, every last one of these Jewish people that suffered in the Holocaust, right? If you talk to any survivors, which are probably kids back then,
Mm-hmm.
but I've talked to a few, asked them, where are you from? Said, oh, my family's from Poland, from Russia, from Germany. Did your family ever come from Israel? No.
Mm-mm.
It's the United States, because Israel's right over there by the Gaza Strip,
Mm-hmm.
right over there in the oil
By the
fields and all
oil,
that.
yeah.
Exactly. So the United States said, they were like, what are we going to do with all these people? Oh, we know. Let's
Get them close to that
get them,
oil.
let's send them over to Israel.
Mm.
They colonized Israel
Mm.
with these immigrants from Europe,
That's
just
true.
like the United States was colonized.
Mm.
And now this is the thing I've always looked at, because I've known this since I was a kid. And I look at people like, why are you mad at those people that live over in Israel that are going to war with the Jews? Do you understand why they're still mad?
Yeah.
They stole their
They
land.
took it's literally the exact same thing. History
It's
is
like,
repeating
those are
itself.
not bad people.
They just want to live in their house
Yes,
where they grew up with, where
that's
their
it.
family grew up with, where their grandpa grew up
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the vested interest was to get the people, play Superman, put them somewhere
Mm.
strategically where you wanted to have them, so you'd have
Right.
some control, and they're an ally, and they got a lot of power and influence over there, and they have access to all of that oil. So the United States literally did this with the intention of being able to have more control in the East,
In the East,
just
right.
like they did in Kuwait, just like they do. They can't do it in Iran. Iran ain't nothing to play with.
They tried. They
I
tried.
never
That didn't
forget.
work.
In so many words, I forgot what you call the top guy in Iran, but he came to speak at a college in South Carolina.
That's crazy.
I went to see him. Right.
What time was this?
This was back in the 90s, man.
Oh wow, yeah, it was a while ago.
He basically said, because he was being asked questions, he was asked questions like, well, what about the problems with the United States or whatever. And in so many words, in a very majestic way, he's very professional, very astute with the way he said this in his accent. But I'm just paraphrasing. He said the United States don't want these kind of problems.
That's pretty cool though. That's like some badass shit.
Yeah, he was like, and everybody knows that. Like that is the one country the United States don't want no smoke. That's
cool.
why they didn't choose Iran. They chose Israel.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting when you look at the chess that the United States has played.
Yeah.
Now everything's starting to fall apart because Russia, under Trump's administration, has smartened up and got with China. And now China and Russia, and then you got Brazil. Yeah, they went into the one place that everybody's trying to milk bone dry, and that's Africa.
A lot of like new laws in China are trying to separate itself from America.
Mm-hmm.
You know that
I heard about Apple the other day.
They're trying to get rid of iPhones completely.
Yep,
out of China,
I was like,
which is
oh,
crazy because that's where all the iPhones are made, in China.
Yep,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's some interesting stuff to watch, man. But this is another, something to think about. How much time we got left? Because I don't want to hold you up.
No, it's 6:09. We're good.
Okay, so
we got like 20 minutes. We're good.
20 minutes. So the thing that I think people need to start thinking about is like, stop chasing this carrot that this country keeps dangling in front of us. Like, nobody thinks that it's possible that we could travel down to Mexico to the beach, right? On vacation, and the dollar's less than a peso. Nobody thinks that's possible. Nobody would ever think that in a million. It's like, dude, the dollar could very well be worth less than a peso. Yeah. And, we could stay here. And I'm not saying pack your stuff up and leave. I am. But
I plan to as well.
But, at the same time, it's like, that's what really has me on this whole mission right now. I'm intentional about making the right decisions right now to speed up the time clock. I don't want to be a battery anymore. This is why I'm glad I was able to meet you and we were
Mm,
talking about this, because this is actually something that's a passion
right. Love it.
of mine. And I know that there's a lot of potential that comes behind it, and I want to be able to grow something from it, because what's better than sitting down on a couch talking trash all day, then
It's
get
fun,
online,
right?
be on the phone with some sponsors or whatever, and then go out to the beach and chill out for like 9, 10 hours out of the
Right.
day. And you're making a bunch of money doing it,
Right.
doing what you love to do.
Hmm.
Um,
And you're spreading information to open minds of younger
exactly,
lives.
exactly.
Actually
And
reminds me of my clothing brands. It's literally
go, you got a clothing brand,
I'm starting one up. It's
dude.
not
We gotta
official yet,
talk.
but it's all about loving yourself and being acceptance of oneself and being aware of the things around you. It's called Open Minds. That's the name of the company. It's about broadening your horizon and being able to see things and not being a robot and basically not being that battery. And
You know
I
what?
just relate to that a lot, and
I have.
it reflects my brand very well.
If my wife's gonna watch this, she's gonna be like, "You, why are you giving all of that?" But look here, man. I think maybe crazy. I don't think that the universe makes any mistakes at all,
I
right?
agree.
So this is the first time we've actually really been able to ever sit down and really talk.
Hmm.
And then through conversation, bits and pieces keep coming out. So this was the one thing. He was like, I was telling my wife about, I was like, man, he does a podcast. And I told him, like, dude, that's a passion of mine. I got to
Yes,
follow.
that's
And I went
awesome,
through
man.
all of that. And you best believe, like, as soon as you get done editing or whatever, I don't know
Right.
how you're going to do, send that stuff to me
I got you,
so
man.
I can post it.
Right.
And then they're going to be coming over to the
That's
page.
awesome, man. I
Yeah.
love it.
Because I've already told them. I said,
Mm,
this Friday I'm doing a podcast. I'll give y'all
pretty
updates
cool.
on when it'll be ready to view.
Right.
So,
Awesome.
yeah, telling you, man, this is almost like a verbal contract.
Yeah.
All
Hey,
right.
we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll
Yeah.
see how things go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Almost. I don't want to bind you to it.
Nah,
But
you're good.
the,
I just like to. I like Destiny to do its own thing.
well, that's the crazy thing,
Right.
because you just mentioned the t shirts, right?
Right.
It's something that I've been working on.
Wow, that's crazy. You got a
Yes.
clothing brand too.
Yes. Yes. I've already had one in the past, but
Mm.
just because of a lot of the things that we're talking about here,
Mm-hmm.
um, I came up with a concept, and it deals with, yours is about life, right?
Yeah.
Mine is more so about who you are as a human being and really understanding.
Mine's is towards that too.
Yeah. So, well then, okay.
It's mental
I'd,
health
I'd have
awareness.
to tell you
Yeah.
off of
Like I
this.
said, self acceptance and being aware of what you are. You are
This
human.
is exactly.
Yeah.
This is like a statement.
And
It's a
understanding your
stamp.
place when everybody also has their own place.
Yeah.
You're part of that. You're not in an individual. You're part of a team.
Yes.
We're trying. I'm doing it with a friend, like my
Okay,
like
okay,
my
okay.
childhood best friend.
I got
So
you.
yeah, we're trying.
Well, kudos to you.
Yeah,
But if you're interested in jumping on this one too, once we discuss it,
of course.
because I got to
yeah.
tell you the concept. The concept,
Awesome.
you like, I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
It's-
I feel like we're kind of very similar.
Yeah.
Our concepts.
You're kind of like a younger version of me, but
That's crazy.
you're a lot more grounded than I was.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a lot more grounded than I was. I was like Dr. Jekyll and Mister. I was Bruce Wayne by day and Batman
Man
at
by
night.
night.
Yeah. Only difference is I didn't wear a cape and a mask. I had
Yeah.
Timberland boots on and fatigues.
Bro was dripping.
Yeah. But no, the end goal, and I commend you for having the discipline and the patience to be able to
Right.
go to
It's
college.
hard,
I think
yeah.
it's very important to get an education. I would never deter anybody from it. But it's a money pot at this point.
For me, that's what I'm using. I'm using it as to fund my actual goals in life.
Yeah, yeah.
Fund my clothing brand, fund the podcast.
Smart man. Yeah.
So I'm not taking it as I don't really want to do this, but I need money thing. I have a goal and a
Yeah.
plan with it that I plan to use, and
Yeah.
it's a valuable skill to have. I'm doing computer science, so I can make websites for any brand that I'm working on and stuff like that. Graphic design, and it helps.
Sitting-
It helps.
Sitting here next to the next.
I'm not there yet, man. I'm not there. These are just my goals and ambitions. I'm working on them. It's
Yeah.
one step at a time. It takes a while.
the the ultimate goal, I think, well, a lot of people get trapped in that whole system. The one thing I hate, and I don't know your situation. Fortunately, back when I went to college, um, college tuition was cheap. I mean, it
Mm,
was expensive for that time, but it was nothing like what it is now. Back
yeah.
then, a 4 year degree at Clemson University would have cost you maybe about $25,000.
Mm,
Now
wow.
it's and yeah, you're looking at about $5,000 a year, $6,000 a year, somewhere
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, my older sister went to get her master's, I think, and she has $100,000 worth of student loan debt. And
Dang.
I'm like, what? There's no way. Like, that's not fair. This
Dang.
is the thing. Two things I live by. Number one, knowledge is free.
It is.
Knowledge is free. I shouldn't have to pay for anything. I don't want to be a part of anything. You gotta. That's what ticks me off about people, and that's one of the reasons why I was so like transparent with you about what I'm wanting to do with a
Mm,
podcast and
right.
stuff. Even ideas, I don't mind sharing it because
Right.
the thing is, like now it's different when you have like a logo. I get that. You got
Right.
to make
Yeah.
sure you get
Yeah.
that
Royalties and
protected,
stuff
but
like that. Yeah.
the thing is people covet so much because really when you really look at it, everybody acts like they're not used to having nothing,
Mm,
right? So what I think about knowledge, just by chance we started bouncing knowledge off of each other, that day that I met you, and here we are sitting down doing your thing, right?
mm,
And but we wouldn't have gotten there had we not shared information
right.
with one another, and it was free.
It was free.
It was
I see
free
what
to
you're
do
saying.
that. I asked the guy, this whole pay it forward thing, this guy offered to pay for something for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, do I look like I need your charity?
Mm.
And he was like, no, 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 I'm just paying it forward. Dude, do I look like I need your charity?
Like I'm just giving out information,
So
man.
I told him, I said, I noticed his watch. I said, I see you have a very expensive watch on. What kind of car do you drive?
Mm.
He told me he had a Maserati. I was like, okay, how big is your house? And he said, his house is like 6,000 square feet. He lived in a really nice house. I said, so you don't mind me asking, what do you do? So he has his own business.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I tell you what, I don't want your money, but what I would like to do is take a little bit of time to sit down with you and you tell me exactly how to get where you're at.
Mm.
I don't want your money.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Right.
He walked
That's
away.
worth more than
He
any
said,
money.
never mind, man. I didn't mean to offend you. And he walked off.
Dang, that's
Do you see what I'm
crazy.
saying?
Do you think it's because it took out of his time, or he didn't want to share the knowledge?
He didn't want to share the knowledge.
Mm,
Regardless of how rich he is, he thinks broke.
mm.
A wealthy
He wants to be
man,
up there by himself.
yes, a wealthy man does not mind sharing anything. That's how we got to the point where we're at
Right
now.
now, exactly.
Sharing information. This is how the Greeks got on top of stuff. This is how their civilizations got built
Yeah.
up because knowledge was shared with them.
Right. It
But
wasn't
now
that
everybody wants
their
to covet
society
it.
was open minded. They
Yeah.
weren't so against each other's difference of opinions.
Exactly.
Right.
But now people like, I'm not going to tell you how to. You might.
Right.
Why would I want to put you out of business? I understand there are a lot of sharks out there, but
I
if
just
you're
want, I just
smart,
want to be up there with you.
Yeah.
What's the problem with that?
but if you know what you're doing, you don't have to worry about somebody being a threat.
Exactly.
Only you can screw yourself up.
Right. Exactly.
I don't mind sharing ideas with people. I even told people how to make quick money. Like, I'll say it now. I was having a conversation with people. I was like, I'm gonna tell y'all how you can make anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000 in no time, less than 6 months.
Mm.
They're like, how you do it? It's like, this is for you. Got to make an investment, but you can do it gradually at a time.
Mm.
It's like, how? I said, the election's coming up,
Mm.
and I'm talking to people of color
Mhm.
that do not like a certain former president. So I was like, what's wrong with making Trump 2024 t-shirts?
Mm.
I said,
That would make a lot of money.
yeah. It's like, dude, you'll be sitting on Good Morning America. Like, how did you become a millionaire? I was like, I'm going to do
make
it.
t-shirts.
I'm not the only one that can do it, though. I can't
Right.
supply 300, 200 million people with t-shirts, but I can make a lot of money doing it. It's like, oh, why would you want to do that? Like, do you hear yourself?
Yeah.
Do you hear yourself? Is a t-shirt causing you to pay taxes? Is a T-shirt causing you to have to pay all these high
No, it's
ass,
not.
health
Yeah,
insurance prices? No.
exactly.
So what is wrong with it? And like, I go as far as making Confederate flag T-shirts.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because where's your family from?
Palestine.
Palestine. So what category does the food fall in?
Mediterranean.
Mediterranean. Okay. So Mediterranean restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have one person from Palestine working in there. Nobody from the Mediterranean area working in there.
Right.
It's like a fast food joint.
Yeah.
They took the idea.
They just have the ingredients.
Now, you're hungry. You're in the mood for Mediterranean. You live here in the States.
Right.
Nobody's here. You don't feel like cooking,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you decide you go to this Mediterranean restaurant. They took your culture, they monetized it and selling it back to you.
Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and we enjoy it. All of us. And so my point is, they do that with everything from every single culture. Now, they say hamburgers come from Hamburg just because it's called hamburger.
Right.
It comes from a cow.
That's where it actually comes from.
But the funny thing is, like the point I'm trying to make, so you're a cultural individual because you come from a rich culture. So when you look at other cultures, you can find the wealth in all of these cultures because of how rich and rich these cultures
Diverse,
are. Diverse, yes, except for a few.
Except for a few.
Except for a few.
What few are you speaking of?
I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into that. But there's only a few that really don't have anything to bring to the table, which is the reason.
Yeah.
But this is why so many people monetize the cultures of so many other ethnic groups, right? So my point is this. They took rap music.
Right.
They sell it back to us.
Right.
They put it like this. The garbs that you would wear culturally. You purchase it from a store. It's a store here.
Right.
And it has made in China.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
You're right. It's like
I'm not knocking Chinese.
so far from the source.
Exactly.
Yeah, get what you're saying,
So my whole point was this. I even talked about black owned businesses. Like, we're hustling backwards, man. Like, because I asked the black, and I'm tying all this up. So I asked the black business owner, I was like, okay, so I go and buy stuff from you. Where's your house? Live in a subdivision. How many black people live in that subdivision? Well, a few black families. Okay, so we know it's not going into the community. When I buy from you, we know it's not going into your community. Right. So where do you buy your car? You can't name any black car maker.
Right.
So that's not going to do it. Let's take that off the table. Is your physician black? No. Okay, we can take that off the table. Is the restaurants that you frequent, are they black owned? Not all the time. Okay, we'll put that on the side right here. And I went down the list. I was like, so what good is it doing me to purchase from you? Because this is something that goes on in the black community all the time. They get mad and make you feel, they shame you for not wanting to support them. But at the end of the day, where are you putting the money back into?
They're not even supporting their own people.
Because they can't. They can't unless you have a doctor here or a car dealership owner there or whatever, or a dentist here or whatever. But outside of that, you cannot literally keep it in the community.
Their own community, right.
So essentially, the blueprint that they use is the same blueprint that America uses for everything else. You take something, monetize it, and you sell it to your people at an inflated price, and then you take it back home, put it in your bank. You're living high on the hog. Meanwhile, you're not putting anything back out into the community.
Keeping it
so
for yourself.
You're doing the same thing. So I told them, I was telling this group of individuals, like, get off of that black business owner. And some people would feel some type of way hearing me say this, but I'm just being completely honest. When you put it in perspective, the money is not going. We don't even have an all black school. Not enough of them. You can say HBCUs, but that's government funded. Right. We're not even funding these colleges. You got all these NBA players, all these NFL players that are millionaires, and they can't even put monies back to pull them together to start up their own leagues. So we're all spread out.
They just want to go up that hill of power, right?
So, and you're Palestinian. It's a completely different mindset when it comes down to working together as a collective unit. Nobody does it here. I don't care what they say. Nobody does that here in America. Nobody. It's just you benefit if you belong to a certain group, and that's it. That's really it. But nobody really works together unless you're up there in the top.
Right.
Otherwise, it's dog eat dog. So I told him this. It's like, take something that you know that they like, other people like, stuff that they love, like dog mittens.
Right. Take the money from it
Yeah.
and put it back into your community.
Sell it. Get filthy rich off of it. And then even with a black-owned business, there's this restaurant. It's healthy. Oh, my goodness, this is almost like an oxymoron, and I can't even believe I'm saying that on something that's going to be. But you'll laugh when I tell you about it. Maybe. But this is like a little sketchy. So there's this healthy diner.
Okay.
Decent food.
Okay.
Healthy diner. It's in the middle of the hood. Healthy food. I see you got the smirk on your face.
What they're doing in the middle of the hood.
Exactly. Now, not to mention, one wrap is all like kale. One wrap runs you like $20.
Nobody's buying that.
So you see my problem.
Yeah.
So I went there. Now here's the thing. I'm not even gonna drop the name of the place because I don't want to bash them. If anything, I'm boost them up. But if I was that business owner, number one, I'm thinking that it's all healthy. Go in there. They got the little bags you can buy off the grocery store stand of wraps. It would have been cool if they had taken it all out and put it in the container. Don't let me see the bags like Tostino's wraps. Don't let me see that. So that's how they had it. And they put all this kale in there and they charge you like $20. It's huge. It's $20. And some of them cost more than that. One of them was like $35. And I was like, I like the concept, but this is what I would have done. Because it's black owned. And people love to frequent. I've seen this many times over. People from all different walks of life love to go to black-owned restaurants. So you put this restaurant where you're charging these premium prices, and you put it in a community where you're not going to have many black people coming to, a more diverse community. And I'm just going to be honest, white people would love going there. They would love going there to get that food. And then you start up another location. This is giving back to the community. Off of all the money you're making over there in Sandy Springs.
Right.
You take some of the profits, open up a joint in the hood. You drop those prices down for the same wraps and have it priced reasonably. Because right now, the way that they got it priced, black folk in that community could probably only eat healthy once a week.
Right.
Probably once every 2 weeks after they get
rather
paid.
go somewhere else.
On Friday, like, okay, today's the 17th. On the 24th, I'm going there to get me a wrap. And I'm trying to be funny.
They have to schedule a time when they can have that.
Yeah, because it's ridiculously priced. I'm like, that is a great example of what I mean about milking. You're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. And you can't do that. So if we pull together, and the other thing, pulling together collectively, if everybody understands, imagine 300, I said there's nearly 350 million people in this country. Imagine 320 million people don't spend nothing for 6 months.
The government would collapse.
They lay the president off.
You're fine. We can't afford you.
Yeah, we got to have a Mr. President. We got to have a meeting. Like, this is, unfortunately.
Yeah, we gotta let you go.
Yeah. But the sad thing about it is, we could joke about that, but the sad thing is they'll cut back on health care. They'll cut back on Social Security before they lay anybody off. They'll cut the people from the bottom first. The people that are making $40,000, $50,000 a year. They'll cut them first before they ever deal with any. But we need congressmen. What the hell does a state need 13 congressmen for? It's stupid.
Right.
This is why I'm always like going all the way back to the beginning. Individuals collectively, we don't understand our energy. That equates to power. We don't understand it. We have no concept of it.
We don't understand how much of an effect that one individual can make.
Mm-hmm.
And that one individual can be anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you don't believe it. If you believe it, it can be you.
A pebble can make ripples in an ocean.
That was a nice quote.
And people, yeah. We coined that
I got
one. We got
goosebumps.
it. A pebble can literally make ripples in an ocean. And until we understand that, imagine what a boulder could do, a meteorite. If a pebble could do it, and that represents one person, the whole body is an asteroid. It'll be catastrophic, but not catastrophic to us. It'll be catastrophic to
the
every
few that's controlling
everything
the
that's
many,
been trying to control us. But it really takes a force. Now, no, this is the other thing that bothers me. Everybody is looking for a leader, and a politician is literally in a position that when they get elected, they think this is how politicians are. I'm smart enough to tell you what you need to be doing.
Yeah, that's basically how
That's
they operate.
exactly how it is. We're literally running to the polls to elect somebody, whether it's president, senator, congressman, mayor, governor, whatever. I think you're smart enough to tell me what to do.
Basically. Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yeah. These are the same people that will run to a building and have somebody read them a storybook every Sunday. And then they go put money in the thing. He reading the same thing over and over. He just recycled the same stories throughout the course of the year. He might remix it. But, this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And that's something else that I acknowledge about you. I think you think outside the box.
I try my best.
For a young guy, you think outside the box.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. And, as long as you stay, we're earthly individuals, so we always got to stay grounded.
I feel like with the advancement of social media and everybody having a camera on them, it's slowly taking effect of people realizing that they are not the ones in power and that they're constantly giving it away to these congressmen and these officials, basically. And
so that's a question I have for you, your generation, because I'm old enough to be your pa, your dad. So your generation, when you talk amongst your peers, how do y'all feel about what's going on?
What's going on in what sense?
The world, this country. This country specifically, because of what you just said.
That's kind of what I just said, but I feel like we're seeing things a lot more. We're seeing where the control is being moved to and who owns it, and how, like, even with just like police officers and stuff.
Yeah.
How their oppression is so visible now. It's slowly that oppression is being fed up the ranks. We're starting to see it more in places that it was hidden, and now it's getting more exposed, basically, with the advancement of technology and AI. Even now, just there's so many things that are getting in the way of all these powerful people being able to hide their mischievousness, basically. Do I feel like it's changing enough to where it's going to make a difference? No, we're not putting enough, like the problem we came to earlier, we're not united enough to, combat it, but it's becoming visible now that we're looked at as ignorant when we're all the same person, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, we're being treated like we're ignorant. And now it's like, it's more evident, you can see it now. You can see, oh, this person disagrees with this person, and they just had a normal conversation, and that wasn't like a thing that was seen. It's hard to explain.
I tell you the way that it went, because I remember when I was younger, back in the 80s. When I was younger, I remember in school the Cold War between the United States and Russia. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea what a Cold War was, but it was like, ooh, we're at war and it's cold. That's all. That's all I did. I was like, we're at war and it's cold. So I thought guns, and the wintertime and people in like suits like Snake Eyes.
It was just all politics.
Yeah, and it was all politics. There was never any boots on the ground.
Right.
But literally the seed that they planted in everybody, it was like we're at war.
Be afraid, be ready to go and all this.
Yeah. And you see even they made a movie, Rocky 3 or Rocky 4 with Dolph Lundgren, whatever his name is. You know what I'm talking about. But this was all because of that Cold War. And Rocky gets up there and makes a speech.
Opponent,
Yeah, he gets up there. If I can change, you can change. Everybody can change. And I'm like, when I look back at that, I'm looking at the narrative that they're driving even in Hollywood, and they're doing it even more so now. But looking back on it, I'm like, they planted seeds of fear. That's the same thing that they've always done. Now people aren't so scared anymore.
There's now more seeds of the right side planting the seeds now. People who are planting the seeds to give more people an open mind to their reality, like a lot of talk shows and stuff. Basically, this explosion of podcasts.
Yeah, but the thing that troubles me, what this is the one thing that I wish people would really understand. And this is where it's going to get a little touchy. You might want to edit this. I don't know.
Nah, you're good.
But we don't respect boundaries anymore.
That's true.
And what I mean by that is I've watched over the past 10 years, I've watched how, there's any random individual that is demanding whatever it may be. And even if I don't agree with it, I better not disagree with it. I don't care what it is. It even comes down to, men against women. I better not say anything because I'm going to get attacked. Oh, you're
cancel culture. You're talking about cancel culture.
Yeah, this whole cancel culture.
The attack on freedom of speech.
Dude, if I don't like something, and I had to tell somebody to make it real clear, if I don't like it, there's nothing on this green earth you can do to make me like that.
It's just the way.
This is just the way it is going to be. Stay in your garden, and I'll stay in mine.
Right. Agree to disagree.
Yeah.
We don't have to be enemies. We both have different.
Exactly. Right. And this is what I was going to say. You may want to edit this. But the LGBTQ community, right? They're driving this narrative. And they're
forcing it.
They're forcing it. And I'm going to be honest with you. A couple of things. Back the first time I ever met a gay guy, I was in middle school. Probably before that, I just was too young to really be thinking about it. But the first gay dude I ever met, he was cool.
Yeah.
He was cool as a fan. He had long fingernails, and he used to do that thing all the time with his hands. But I didn't judge him. He was cool. And I actually watched him beat this football player, beat the brakes off this guy.
Yeah, he got the hands.
He had the hands. He was from the hood. But, he was real clean cut, good dude. Name was Cedric. And I never had an issue with that.
Right.
He never said anything or did anything out of the way. He was just good.
He was
solid
himself,
people.
and I was myself.
Yeah, I didn't care nothing.
He didn't
about
force
that.
any of our ideologies upon each other.
If anything, I was just like, there's more females for me.
Right. Joke around about it.
Because he had all the girls, and that's one of the reasons why I used to hang with him, in class and stuff. He said, I'm trying to talk to her, put a word in for me, because all of them was cool with him. Yeah. But and then when I got older, then I remember the first time I met, and I'm only saying I'm ignorant when it comes down to that community and how to refer to people. But so I'm just going to say what I know without it making any offense. But first lesbian that I met, she was cool. We used to play ball together. And she could ball her ass off, man. She was
pretty cool.
Yeah, I had her on my team. We running numbers up. And she was real cool. We became real good friends. I ain't care. It's fewer females for me, but I ain't care though, because she was.
No one ever really does, unless they have a hateful or closed mind.
Right.
Right.
So now moving fast forwarding, this is the point I'm trying to make. In 2023, if there are people, and I'm just saying this for those that are not LGBTQ and I'm saying this for those who are
Mm-hmm.
LGBTQ, if there are people that are not part of that community and you have a problem with it, you seriously have a mental issue in these days and times.
Right. I see. Yeah, I see what you're
If
saying.
if because it's not even taboo anymore. Like it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, when you go home, what how they live their life does not impact you.
At all.
We all deserve the one thing that we're born with that nobody. I mean, this is non-negotiable. It's respect.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to like nothing about them, but you're gonna respect them. So at the end of the day, like who cares? Now, that's for those that are not part of the LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm.
Quit being a sucker. Quit being a simp. That
Mm-hmm.
ain't got nothing to do with you.
Right.
Unless something happened that was traumatizing in your past, but other than that, you don't have any reason to have an issue with that.
Right.
Now, on the flip side, the LGBTQ, you cannot force people. Live your life
Right.
and be happy. I could live, there could be one person that I might have offended on my platform that lives all the way in California. Dude, I'm about a 3-day drive away from you. So if you're offended by what I said, how is it impacting you day to day?
It's not.
Yeah. So who cares? When you get up every morning, you should not carry the weight of the world on your shoulders because at the end of the day, we got too many other things to be worrying about rather than how you choose to live your
You
life.
should be able to handle someone else's opinion.
Exactly. And that's it.
That's
It's
all it
but
is.
but you should never be disrespected.
Never. Right.
But nor should you force your opinions on
On other
anybody
people. Right.
because that's and I always say just because you feel that way doesn't make it right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with all of that being said, this is all grown folk talk we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Leave the kids out of this.
I agree.
These kids ain't got no. There's no reason why kids should be
Sexuality
discussing
shouldn't
this.
even be
Shouldn't
discussed
even
until
be
you're an
being
adult.
discussed until exactly.
I agree.
Leave the children.
They're trying to put in
out
the
of this.
curriculum, and
Yes, I don't think that there's any. Mr. Rogers, you know who Mr. Rogers is?
sounds familiar.
Won't you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know it's Rogers.
He made a song,
Mm-hmm.
a nursery rhyme. He said, "You're born. If you're a boy, if you were born a boy, you're a boy. If you were born a girl, you're a girl."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he went on to like at a later date. He even I think he implemented something in there that at a later date, if you choose, is
Oh,
whatever.
he changed it up.
Yeah.
To
But
appeal to
if
that.
you're a boy, he was basically saying it's okay for you to be a boy. We need to be able to parents and society needs to be able to allow parents to say, no, it's okay for me to let him understand. Because if you allow a child to think that there's something that they're not,
Right.
growing
I
up,
do
that's
think
where
that's
your
like
mental health
yeah,
is
I was
going to
gonna
be
say that.
impacted.
I feel like that's a mental health issue of not being able to accept what you
Accept
are
what
as
you are. When your
exactly.
mind is impressionable at the tender age of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, this is when you're starting to grow into your, come into understanding a lot of things, and then you really grasp hold of it by the time you're 11,
Right.
12, 13. In high school, you're walking in it. And then in your 20s, you're living it. But you need to give people an opportunity, give these children an opportunity to crawl.
Find
Then they walk.
themselves.
Yes.
Right.
But let them know what they really are.
Right. Yeah.
Like then I heard something that made a lot of sense, and people tell me it's not like that. Listen, here's the thing. If any one of my kids, and I've been asked this question before because people swear I'm a homophobe and I'm not. Um, but if one of my sons, if I noticed, he acted a little, either one of my sons acted feminine,
Mm-hmm.
I'd let him know, no, dude, you a boy.
Right.
Stop. Put that doll down.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to make him be something he's not,
Right.
but I'm going to get him to understand you stand up to P.
And that comes to the thing of being accepting of one's own self.
Yes.
You are a boy. Be proud of that. Be
Yes.
proud of what you're a girl. Be proud that you're a girl.
If they either one of them had chosen
Right.
to date same sex,
Mm-hmm.
you a boy,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm all right
You
with
still
that.
love yourself. You
Yeah.
still love how you came
As long
out.
as they
Right.
loved and respected themselves, and I've had to
Exactly.
think about that long
Right.
and hard because I'm like,
When you're
Mm,
starting to want to start doing surgery and change your gender, is it's like, are you not happy with what you are? Are
I'm
you not
glad you,
proud that you are?
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up
Right. Yeah.
because I was having this conversation. So the things I study, we don't find, those of us that study the same thing, we don't find a disconnection between ourselves and God. It's
Mm-hmm.
one and the same. So
Right.
therefore we are God.
Mm-hmm.
I see you the same way, right?
Right.
Now I can get into that at a later date.
Yeah. Get a little
But
philosophical.
yeah, yeah, I'll explain. I can explain at a later time. We're running out of time. But the reason I was getting attacked because of that.
Mm.
It was like, you're not God. Do this, do that. I said, no, fool. It doesn't work that way. It's
Yeah.
like you show me anywhere in history where they can prove
I'm not saying
stuff.
I'm God. I'm saying
Yeah,
God is within all of us.
yes, God is in all of us,
Mm.
more so in some than others.
Right.
I'll get into that later.
That's a, that. Well, that's an
Yeah,
interesting take as
yeah.
well.
So, but I was saying, okay, so you tell me I'm crazy for saying I'm God. And I even on my live, I got on my live and I was like, if I go on, if I get up on, come to a job and I tell you call me king, because that's my righteous name.
Mm.
In Arabic it would be Malik,
Mm.
but my righteous name that was given to me was king. So I was like, if I tell you no, you're not my king, I quit and all this kind of stuff. But before I asked that question, I asked if Rob wanted to now be identified as Roberta, would you call him Roberta? Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's not bad when it's in that instance.
So I'm like, so I asked that question. No, I quit my job. Dup, 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 dup.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
like,
like that
are
whole,
you kidding me?
pronoun thing.
So I'm, I'm looking at him like, okay, you'll call me crazy, and I can sit up and literally break down scientifically how I'm right in what
Right.
I'm saying, but you'll tell me I'm crazy. But somebody that, now this is another part you might want to edit, but somebody that goes and gets a sex change, that's normal. You
Mm.
would have me put in a crazy house for saying I'm God. Not saying I'm the God,
Right.
but saying I'm God.
Mm.
But you'd have me committed. But
Right.
it's okay for somebody to go get,
That's a super evil against God's existence, and
yeah.
it's a super sin and all this. But
But getting an entire gender
right,
change,
removing the things that God put you together as
yes,
is
yes.
okay.
Now, I'm not disrespecting. That is a personal choice.
Right.
Whether I agree with it or not, that has nothing to
Right.
do with it.
At the end of the day, like we always say, you're you and I'm me.
Yes,
I can agree or disagree, but that does not have to, that doesn't mean I have to enforce it, and that doesn't mean you have to change
right,
because of what I said.
right.
You can do what you want.
All my point was, I'm no crazier than they are. That was it at the end of the day.
Yeah,
It was like,
right.
I'm no crazier than they are.
From your point of view, I probably look just as crazy, right?
So it's just, I don't know. But I just think leave the kids out of it.
I agree.
Raise these kids right, because
Like the
your
kids should be in the hands of their parents.
yeah,
Completely.
your generation, depending on how you were raised, you're complete. I tell you, you'll always be a thread that's separate from the rest of them. Especially being here. You'll, and even going back, if you go back to Palestine, you will be the thread that's separated from the rest of them.
Yeah.
And it's just because you're well rounded. I guess you've had experiences on both
Right.
ends, and it's that's a powerful position to be in. To be a chameleon.
Right.
You
Be
could
able to
feel it
change colors.
home.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool.
you could feel it home, and I'm a chameleon. A lot of people's like, dude, how in the world you were just on last night? You were on the block, and I come in here, and you having a board meeting. I come in here to have lunch with you. You tell me to meet you, and
You're
you
chilling
coming
out
out
your
of there,
businessman.
like, chill, chill, chill. But but no, there's power in that, and being able to look at things from uh, an open, having an open mind to be able to see
Right.
things. A lot of people will hear me talking and they think, oh no, 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 that's not. But just hear me out, and understand exactly where I'm coming from. I want to give both perspectives to see for you to look at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it. Now there are some things that are definitive with me. Now, like there's no. I'm not gonna sit up and tongue wrestle with you about nothing I know. This is what it is.
Right.
But I can support it. When it comes down to my opinion, I can feel how I want to feel. I know that doesn't make anything right, like I said earlier. Um, but with all these distractions, how are we ever gonna get ahead when we got these different communities getting mad at everybody else and causing? How is it? How in the hell is it? I'm trying to figure this out. You got 100% of the population in this country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then let's just for shits and giggles, 30% of the population say, no, you're gonna like me, you're gonna accept it. And 70% of the people, okay. I ain't never seen that happen.
Yeah.
You got 7 people on the football field going up against 3 people on the field. You think those 7 people gonna be easy on them?
They want the wins.
Like, no, listen, we just gonna let you forfeit. Go on, do what you gotta do. We don't even want to pummel you like this. Just go on about your business.
Right.
I've never seen something like this.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a lack of I wouldn't say trauma, but like a lack of obstacles in one's life. You know, they don't have something in their life keeping them occupied, like a responsibility or something. Like if we were to say World War III were to happen,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of these problems would just disappear.
I don't know right now.
Because there won't be enough mind space to care about it anymore.
Let me tell you why I say I don't know.
You don't know?
Let's go back to Vietnam.
Okay.
Let's go back to Vietnam. So during
That's
Vietnam,
a good example.
yeah, because there was a lot of stuff going on during there. You had presidents and presidents' brothers getting their melons peeled back in public back then. So you had the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Black Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
You had the people protesting the Vietnam War.
Right.
You had the people going off to war.
Right.
You had presidents getting assassinated.
Yeah, it didn't solve the problem.
Then you had the hippie movement.
I thought I was on to something.
That ain't gonna solve the problem.
You might be right, man. It's not gonna solve
It
anything.
ain't solve the problem, man. Because it's like, and if we do have World War III, it's like, oh boy. Now imagine everything that went on during Vietnam, like prior to that.
I feel like it would fix a lot of gender roles.
Maybe. But imagine that happening now. Imagine that happening now. But the way people are, I don't think it would make it any better. Because these people, you literally got 20,000 people getting killed every month in a war. But yes, you still want to march and protest in front of the state capitol building in your state. Like, you get rights. We want our right. 20,000 people just got killed this month.
That's crazy.
We got 11 more months to go.
Yeah, it didn't change any of their ideologies at all.
Yeah. It just makes you wonder, like, so many people are, back then, at least people were coming together. But you got and here's the thing. The civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, as they called it. So you had the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement. You even had women of all genders coming out for female rights during that time as well too. That was part of the civil rights that a lot of people kind of because women didn't get full rights in this country until the 1980s.
Yeah.
Right, so they were protesting during that time just to be able to get the right to vote.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, these are white women too. For those that don't know, but so then you had then the protesting on that. But the thing is, all of these movements kind of worked hand in hand because the Black Power movement was against the war, the Civil Rights movement was against the Vietnam War. You see, and then the people protesting was against the Vietnam War.
So it kind of came.
All of it came together.
Yeah.
Now, it's like
it's all over the place.
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's like, man, I don't know which way to go.
I don't even know what they want anymore.
Yeah, listen. We just went through this. You were probably in high school, maybe middle school. The Me Too movement. Where is it at?
It's gone.
The Black Lives Matter movement. Where is it at?
It's gone. I feel like those were both distractions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Me Too movement, like, I understand the chess move with that. Because when you look at women overall now, but it's specific to groups of people. But when you look at a movement, when you look at the results of this,
it wasn't actually tackling the issue at hand.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And it didn't. And who did? Listen, the individuals that really needed to suffer. And I'm not condoning old Bill, but at least all of them were grown. All of them were of age. We can say that about old Bill.
Right.
Okay. what's his name? Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to him? Nothing. Look at Judge Brett Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court Justice. Nothing.
Mm.
So they had to have somebody. They had to have somebody. And the interesting thing about let me take you back to O.J. Simpson. You remember the story of O.J.?
Yeah.
So O.J. Simpson is on trial, and I tell people this all the time. O.J. Simpson's on trial now. In the black communities, everybody knew he was guilty. Everybody knew, but they would
got away
never.
with it.
But no, they would never utter a word
Yeah.
publicly about it.
Yeah.
Everything was free OJ, free OJ, free OJ. Y'all know he really killed him.
Yeah.
He killed both of them. If he didn't, he know who did. And that's the way that it was in the community. But outwardly, everybody supported him. Me Too movement comes up. Bill Cosby all of a sudden. Now let's look at Bill Cosby's resume. He had a very successful two TV shows,
Right.
that were critical during my age group,
Right.
which is one of the reasons why so many people of color were going to college.
Became very influential.
Yes, because his kid, it was a normal Cosby show in a different world where the kids were in college. And it was very impactful. It was cool. If you weren't going to college, you were a dope boy back when I was in high school, and you wasn't going to college, and you were lame.
It's still
Yeah,
kinda,
like why you
still kind of like
you
that.
just selling dope? You ain't trying to get no education. So the in the urban communities or black communities, I'll say, the enrollment for college was at its peak during that time.
Mhm.
All while Bill Cosby shows were on. He did so many things for HBCUs. He did so many things in the black community. This man got a resume.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Boom.
damn near, this man, like, first his son gets killed.
Damn, I didn't even know about that.
Yes, his son got killed. Allegedly had a flat tire in the car that he was driving. It was a Mercedes Benz. It came with standard run flats. So you're like, okay, how come he was stranded on the side of the road and he has run flats? And then the next thing you know, he calls for help, and this woman that his son was supposed to be friends with comes in a mini skirt and high heels to help him change the car, and then somebody comes up and kills him. And they said it was a robbery gone bad, but yet he still had his credit cards and his cash on him.
Yeah.
So you want to know what that was about?
It's not adding up.
During this time, Bill Cosby was trying to buy a network. And this is not conspiracy. He was trying to buy a network.
Okay.
So he fell back. He came back to the table later, and this system looks at Bill and said, Bill, you don't want these problems. They pulled the Iran thing on Bill Cosby. You don't want this smoke. And Bill Cosby wouldn't go away. So next thing you know, this Me Too movement, all these people coming out the woodwork that walking around with canes, they getting disability and stuff. Half of them retired.
It was an overwhelming amount of people that came out.
And I don't doubt that the man did it.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that. I'm not saying that he didn't do it. But here's the problem I have. Everybody's casting stones at him. And every stand-up comedy Bill Cosby did, he always said he was married. So every last one of those women knew he was married. But they ain't wrong.
That ain't stopped him.
You going up to this man's hotel room trying to further your career without proper representation? You came in with proper contraceptives, but not representation. And it's
I wouldn't
common.
put any blame on them, though. You know, they're
No, I'm not saying they're to blame.
Yeah.
Because he did something. I'm not saying they're to blame. I'm talking about accountability.
Right. There was a cause and an effect.
Yes.
And they clearly saw it. Yeah.
They were all adult women.
Right.
That was a common thing to do, quaaludes and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that what he did was right.
It's not
I'm
like they
saying,
saw that coming, you know, but like,
yeah,
they're still like.
this is my point.
Yeah.
How can you crucify Bill and not? Cause see, this is the thing. I'm not siding with Bill. I'm not siding with him at all.
Yeah.
How can you crucify Bill and not Harvey Weinstein? How can you crucify Bill and not Brett Kavanaugh?
O.J. Simpson.
And O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Why did it have to be Bill? Why was he the only one? Aside from R. Kelly, that's a whole different conversation there. Like that I got a different perspective on that, and I actually have some insider insight on that. Yeah,
That's
from
another
somebody that used to date R. Kelly. Yeah. All right. So we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. We gotta finish this later.
Yeah, dude, we had a great conversation. We could really talk for hours.
Oh yeah, I'll be here till the sun goes
You have
down,
like a
man.
lot more conspiracies and like, backed up thoughts about so many like controversial topics
Oh
more
yeah,
than I
yeah, yeah, yeah,
expected. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
you were hitting a lot of
them.
them. You're pulling up this facts and information I never even knew about. And it's like, wow, it's just crazy.
Yeah, fact check me. Fact check me.
Picking at your brain is fun, and
Yeah,
appreciate you for being here.
absolutely. I look forward to doing that. And listen, you want to do this?
Definitely.
We
love to
can do
it
this,
again.
man. These conversations never end. I'm
Yeah,
I'm like a Pandora's
How long
box.
have we been going? Oh, we're an hour and a half now.
Hour and a half. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess we'll just do a little outro at the camera. Just appreciate you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more.
The praying hands. I ain't mean to do
Now
that.
you can do whatever you want, man. You're you, man. Just do whatever you feel comfortable
that ain't
doing.
me. That ain't me. Yeah,
Oh, that's not you?
That really is not me.
You just
yeah. I didn't know what to do with my hands. Like I didn't feel like being corny.
But but yeah, hopefully, yeah, I'll probably most likely see you on another episode for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Appreciate you for coming.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I enjoyed
we'll
it.
wrap it up there. Thank you guys for watching.